Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist.
And I'm Amy Archer. I am the poet in residence today.
All right.
Not that anyone called for a poet, but here I am.
The farthest thing from being an attorney. I love it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So if you don't recognize this voice, this is Amy Archer from Little Miss Recap and Murder, She Watched. And Brooke is out on a cruise this weekend and enjoying her life.
Good for Brooke.
Amy is here to talk to me about Sister Wives, season 20, episode 11. We used to be lovers. Like, how many times do we have to hear you say lover? And I swear to God, I think these producers are like, lover. He said lover. We gotta get that in, every time they're like.
I hate it. I hate every minute of it.
Who says that? Who says that?
I don't know. Timmy and I will say it jokingly to each other, but no, never. No. Mm-mm.
So before we dive into this episode, which was interesting, I would love to hear a little bit about what's your feelings about season 20 and Sister Wives and all that, high level takes.
Should I just jump in mid-rage?
Yeah, sure.
I'm always in a rage over these people.
Oh, yeah.
So I actually was interested in talking to you about this because I had like a take and, I'm interested to get your therapeutic point of view on it. I'm angry about the whole apology tour. And I think it's very obvious that he's doing it for himself and to appease Robin.
And to look good to us. And it really pisses me off that, I think you posted it, that TLC apology tour thing.
Yeah.
I was like, why are we making it like it was just, it felt in very poor taste for TLC. I was really surprised.
And we saw him at that dinner with Robin where he was essentially saying like, I'm going to apologize for saying I didn't love them. And she's like, oh, good, because that really shook me to my core. So this is about her.
Yes.
And about Cody. But what I went on a tear last week about was I don't understand why Janelle doesn't advocate for her children harder. And I've gotten some pushback on this.
Okay.
But I'm like, I love Janelle. I'm a Janelle fan through and through. But sometimes her passiveness is too much. And I'm like, I would not sit down and break bread with the person who was treating my children this way. I just wouldn't. And I understand it's not her place. Like her kids are adults. It's not her place to facilitate a reunion here. And we don't even know if Maddie wants that, right?
Yes.
But like, you can at least not play nice. That's where I would be. I mean, could you imagine if your husband treated your son this way?
I wouldn't have stayed. And I think that's one of the, of course, that was the thing that broke, Janelle at the end. But we've had a lot of thoughts we've talked a lot about Janelle. And yes, I love her, goes with the wind, the way of being. But, you know, the fact that she was in charge of the finances and she knew that Cody was taking large sums of money out and not knowing where they're going and never said anything to her other sister wives. And then you're telling us you are this businesswoman, this thing. I mean, I think Janelle is someone who work was more important. I'm not putting her down because I will tell you this. My work is just as important as my child. I love my child. And I'm sorry as a woman that, you know, I'm not saying children are the most important thing. It's equal. And I think that, you know, Janelle wanted, you know, she wanted to have the career and she wanted to have a lot of kids. And because I only have one kid, you know, when you have this kind of thing. So she wanted all that. And I think that all fulfilled her. But she kind of just then, I don't know, I have a very hard time with her now being like, I'm a business person and I think about this and I think about that. Like, you screwed everybody. You screwed Mary. You screwed yourself and Christine. Yeah. You really did. Like, why didn't you stop and go, wait a second here, something's happening?
That's a really good point. And one of my listeners actually nailed it, I think, because they said Janelle has parentified her kids so much that she never thinks they need protection.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Because she doesn't see them as like children. She sees them as kind of equals.
Yeah.
And that's wild to me. And my whole thing is like, Janelle stayed the longest. Well, maybe Mary stayed the longest, but Janelle stayed long enough that she still had some semblance of authority with Cody. Like she could still at least say something to him. Why was she not saying? And we don't know if she was, to be fair, we don't know, but I hope she was saying, you cannot treat Gabriel and Garrison this way. I will not allow it. You are not allowed in our house or near us while you are talking about our sons this way on television and alienating them. Like, I just think, I don't know. I wonder if more could have been done. It giving the grace of maybe we're not seeing it, but we've never really seen a lot.
Well, and I think that the misogyny and the programming and the conditioning is huge. I mean, because again, I think, right, we live in these worlds where we have sisters that are going to be like, what the fuck? Like, what's happening here?
Yes.
So, but I think that in that environment, I mean, maybe Janelle did see that Cody was taking money out and she felt too scared. That's not my place because it's been, you know, as a woman, you know, all these things that you're talking about, like, this is still a very traditional, you know, way of looking at the world. And I do wonder if they felt scared to push back in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. You read Christine's book, obviously, and then we did like 9 episodes.
I know you did. I listened to them all,
and we just couldn't stop ourselves. Yeah. And by the end of that book, I mean, that just made me so angry all over again. I mean, just all of it. The fact that she was set up for failure to begin with, and just every last bit of it. It's really a heartbreaking book.
She's a little bit more of a mama bear. Yes. We even see it in this episode where she's kind of like, if he wants to make peace with me, I want him to be good with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, come on, Janelle, we need that from you. It's ironic because, you know, you can argue it both ways. Janelle has more favor with him because he's always been her favorite of the OG3.
Yes.
But she's always been his favorite because she won't challenge him.
Yes.
So it's like, if she started to challenge him, she may have lost any kind of ability to sway him in any way. Although I would argue Robin would mute any attempt she would make to sway him in any way.
Yeah.
So.
I still maintain that I think those two had the freakiest, deakiest sex life. I think, I mean, Cody really, I think Cody has always really been into her. And I really feel like the two of them have that chemistry. I don't know why. I just do, like, the way, because he had such a hard time giving her up. He did not want her to go.
I just had like a terrifying realization. Janelle, let's take it on its surface for what we've seen and knowing their religious background. Janelle probably has only been with Mary's brother and Cody. No wonder why she just has no sense of what good bedroom stuff is.
Maybe.
She needs to get out there a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So your theory about Janelle is what your listener was talking about, because she parentified her kids. That's really interesting.
My anger was towards her for not advocating more. You know, like I would have said, if that were me, I would have said, I'm not interested in an apology from you. Not until you have attempted or made it right with all of our kids. Then I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm just stunned that she would. And Mykelti said on her live, she didn't even know that he was in North Carolina. And she's like, I absolutely would have put the kids in the car and went to see him.
Yeah.
He didn't even tell me.
Oh,
like,
wow.
He's a shithead father. He just is. And I don't know why it's being allowed.
Yeah. Well, that tells you that this apology was about the cameras much more, and about
100%.
making sure that he, you know, I've got to clean this up, and I got to show Robin I'm a good guy, and then I've got to, you know, make the world love me again. And I don't know if anyone really loved you to begin with, but yeah, it's even the words that he uses in this conversation with Janelle. It's a little bit like it's painted in these ways, and it's just all of it. It just all does feel a little bit too little too late.
I will say this. There is a part of me, I am, ever since I was a little kid, like I'm the peacemaker. Everything has to be okay. Everybody has to like everybody. So there was a piece of me that was really, no pun intended, was really happy to see them get some resolution and to see them be so nice with each other. And I was shocked at the depth of this apology, that it included stuff from their past.
Yes, it did. I was like, wow.
The problem with me is I can't take the kids out of it. If there were no kids involved, or all the kids had decent relationships with him, I would have liked this scene a lot more. I would have been like, okay, this is okay.
Yeah.
But I just can't get the kids out of it.
It's interesting because just comparing her to Christine, for Christine, her kids are everything. And so that's where her mind is going to go.
Yeah.
And I think Janelle, and I'm not saying that Janelle's not a good mother, but it is more of, I think that Janelle sees these two things as separate, like the way you treat me and the way you treat my kids.
Yeah.
And,
and maybe her kids like that. Like maybe they're like, this is my relationship with dad. It has nothing to do with you. This is my business. You know, I don't want you interfering. I don't know.
Yeah. But it does show you that if he's there in North Carolina, he doesn't tell Mykelti, he doesn't tell Maddie, then you were doing this for the cameras. Like, you know, even giving them a call, they might have ignored you. But, you know, I would have liked to hear like, yes, he reached out to me and I said no.
And again, me, the mother, would have been like, if I am going to have this conversation with you, it will be off camera. That's my one stipulation. But me, the viewer, is like, if they had this conversation off camera, I would riot in the streets and burn Puddle Monkey's headquarters to the ground. So, like, what do you want, Amy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just see both of them. I see Mary, you know, I'm really liking Mary these days because I feel like she's getting much lighter.
Mary is my arch nemesis.
Oh, really? Okay. I feel like Mary, listen, I still think Mary thinks she's really funny and she's not. But I have to say that I feel like she's a lot lighter. I feel like she's
getting better. I agree.
She's getting better. And I think she's getting it that she's a work in progress. I think she learned from the Worthy Up thing. Yes. And it's just interesting to see Janelle now take this on. And because I actually went to one of her things and talked about it on the show, one of her coaching calls. And now I get notices all the time about these coaching calls.
How was the coaching call?
It was
I don't think I heard you talk about it.
Oh, I did. I talked about it on an episode. I'm sure on a Sister Wives episode, but I really went into it with like open mind, open heart. You know, I'm going to, no judgment at all. And really, you know, she is very warm. She is better at being that warm, nurturing mother than Mary is.
Okay.
So she's very warm.
Okay.
Very kind. Now, I too am in this coaching realm, and I understand there is a formula for doing a webinar to get people to sign up for your courses or your membership or whatever. And she followed that. Like, I'm like, now you tell us you qualify what you know. Okay. Now you're going to do this. Now you're going to ask these questions. Like I could see every step of it. So, and I don't know if I was in the first one and she's maybe looser now, but it was a little like tense.
Okay.
She did have a lot of people there. I mean, you know, the minute she asked about money, and I thought that the minute she, asked about the money and stuff, a lot of people left, which happens. But I think it's hard for her because I think a lot of people are joining because of the interest in her.
Yeah.
And she's not getting real people that want the help. And I just want to, the stuff that she was teaching in this webinar was first year, like first semester of grad school, first thing that, like she was teaching people what I talk about in the first session with somebody.
Okay.
Like who doesn't know anything about it.
I went to 1 year of grad school for counseling. So would I have understood what she was saying?
Yes. Oh God.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the theories and the ideas aren't deep. Like, the first one was just because you have a thought doesn't make it true. Some version of that, like your thoughts.
Yeah.
But she doesn't even get into the science of it or into, we're wired for survival and this is why our minds go here and this is RAS and then you fight or flight. And, there's none of that. There's a lot of like, no, you go on a diet or you want to stop eating something and then you say this to yourself or you say that to it's very, very basic, which I don't think is bad at all. It's just basic. Right. And I think that if you've had any kind of anything, I think this is going to feel not as deep.
Having been a teacher for many years, I'm somebody who I can teach. I'm good at it, but I'm much better one-on-one. So maybe that's her too. Yes. Maybe in a group setting, she's a little stilted, a little awkward, which I was for many years until I learned how to manage a classroom. But I bet you she's really good one-on-one.
Yeah, I would think so. I would. Again, I think it's also really hard because, when you work with people, you are bringing your whole self to it.
Yeah.
And so I think that like she and I wouldn't gel. We have very different lives, different backgrounds, grew up differently. So I'm not the right person, but I do believe that there are women I think that she absolutely can help a lot of women who are hit this middle age point. I don't know what I'm doing. My kids are raised, but there is a little bit of this frustration of, you did this, you've just experienced this. And it's a little bit like, okay, now I'm going to teach it to the world. It's like, why don't you do this for a while?
That's what Mary did.
Yeah. But why don't you do this for 5 years or something? Like, why don't you really get in there, have a theory, have an idea of what it is that you want to present to the world. And before you start this. And again, I just think I think it's the unfortunate part of the double-edged sword of being on the show, which is I think that people are probably telling her, oh, no, don't do that. You got to strike while the iron's hot. The show's on the air. Do this. Probably what someone would say. And then, even though probably the best advice is go do this for a while, get your own theories, put something together. Because, when you present yourself as a coach, you do have to present your own theories, like what you believe things should, your
So let me ask you a question about this, because one of the things, so I was in Worthy Up.
Yes, I know.
And it was ridiculous. It was just Mary spouting Instagram quotes at us constantly. God. And there was like 5 people. But Mary's problem is she set a high barrier to entry, right?
Yes.
It was like $350 just to get in.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
Yes.
But so my question is, one thing that drives me crazy as a writer is when somebody's not, especially if they're writing memoir, I can tell if they're not being authentic or they're holding something back. Now, I know a therapist shouldn't really be talking about themselves, okay? But if you're doing this kind of coaching where it's like you're building on your celebrity kind of, do you think it's appropriate for her to bring some of her own experience in, or is she doing the right thing keeping that out? Because what I want and what is professionally ethical are 2 different things. I've learned.
Yes. Yeah. Meaning, do you think that it would be good for Janelle to talk about her experience?
Yeah. To be like, I felt X way when I was getting divorced, or I went through this terrible tragedy with my child. I want to, I can connect with what you're telling me. Like, is it okay to do that? I know it's not in therapy.
Yeah.
But is it in coaching? I don't know. Especially if you're like celebrity coaching.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a tricky one. I'll be honest with you. I think I try to be authentically me, but I don't tell everybody everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do not, there are lots of things that I don't share, with my clients, and some things I would. And that's the other part about this work is you have to be mindful of what are you sharing and why? Like, I'm sharing the story with you because it's this purpose, not because I feel like I want to talk right now.
Yeah.
So,
like my therapist will always say, is it okay with you if I share my experience? Because she's a mother of kids my kid's age.
Yeah.
So she'll be like, is it okay? Yeah, whatever.
Oh, she's better than I am. I would just jump right in.
But I think part of so to bring this back to Mary, though, the reason I bring it up is one of the criticisms of Worthy Up that a lot of people had was they signed up to hear Mary talk authentically about her experience.
Yes.
And she wasn't doing that. But I was kind of like, but she can't do that really. That's not what coaching is. So I wasn't sure if it's a little more lenient in the coaching world.
It is more lenient in the coaching world. Okay. And a lot of it is very much with coaches. It's about your story.
Okay.
You know, because what coaches do is they kind of, right, like, I'm going to do middle age. I had trouble, conceiving a child. So I'm going to help people over here and this. And I don't necessarily think that's bad. I just think there are different kinds of coaches. There are the coaches where they've lived through the experience and so they can coach you through it. Mm-hmm. There are coaches who, worked in that industry for a long, long time so they can coach you through it. And then for other people like myself who go from therapy to coaching, a lot of it is we just sort of take all the humanistic psychology and apply it just in a different way.
Right. Right.
So yeah, I definitely think that Mary didn't need to let everything hang out, but she needed to talk about things. I will bring this up because the other day, I don't know why I was interested in this, but I was listening to the Unwell, Call Her Daddy and with Kim Kardashian. And she answered a lot of questions about Kanye, but she never said his name.
Oh,
it was a lot like, in my relationship, I never knew exactly what to expect. Then this would happen. Then this would happen. And my relationship. So she never said his name. We knew who you were talking about.
Right.
And she was authentically being like, this is what I experienced. And I think Mary could have done that. Like, in my past relationship, I felt this way. You don't have to tell us like Cody kicked you out or did this or that.
In my past relationship with a malignant narcissist, here's what happened. We would all know who you're talking about, Mary.
Yeah. And it's just, but the same thing with Kim Kardashian. Like, we all know who you're talking about here. So it's a little bit of, and so I got the sense from that conversation that on Call Her Daddy was that, Kim was kind of like, and she shares a lot about her life in general, but not so much about this marriage, like a lot of the, deep stuff about the marriage.
Yeah.
And so you got a sense from her, like, oh, this was really, really rough. Like this, and you didn't want to end this, but you had to. And, you just got a better sense of like what her mindset was and the thinking behind it and how she felt and the fears that she had. Like, she was very scared. She thought, he told me that I was told, he never said I was told that I wouldn't have this access to art and fashion and these kinds of people. And she said, okay, I just won't. Okay. And then she was like, the minute it was over, then I got all this access. So, so anyway, but I do think authenticity rules everything, especially in the world that we live in today.
I think Worthy Up would have done much better if she had said, I don't have 25 years of training in this space, but I have a lived experience plus some training that I think can inform my coaching. But she never did. Never, ever even mentioned it.
Well, but Janelle did mention that she has a coaching certification. I don't know much about it. I can't remember what it was. But again, that's the problem, which is, when I graduated from graduate school, you start working with clients, but no one's really listening to you. You're just trying to get through. And so that's the other part too, is like, give yourself a moment here. Yeah. Like, do the work. That's great. Now, go and practice this. And that's why I'm saying, like, the average therapist, you probably takes 3 to 4 years if you are doing it full time, whole heart, plus the 2 years of school. So, give yourself 6-7 years. To do this. It's not even the 10,000 hours, but they're not even doing that. They're having one idea. And then
it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. It really, it undermines the gravity of what mental health professionals do.
Yes. No, I know that one well, because everyone thinks what we do is so easy. And it's like, it is the hardest. It's a very hard job. If you love it, I love it. And I feel like it's my calling. It's like what I'm meant to do. But we just don't, even with my sister, she gets so much more respect, than I do. And it's like, all she's doing, what she's doing all day? Thinking. thinking and talking and
like
writing.
Nick Davis. Just thinking.
Just thinking, yes. Like we're doing we're providing a service that is not tangible. But, you know, but somehow it's, you know, we're like, you know, chopped liver, right? It's like, who cares about them?
Justice for therapists.
Yes, thank you. Well, especially now with the education, like I guess apparently the Department of Education is reclassifying nurses and therapists and social workers, all women, you know, primarily women because they're nurturing.
Women dominate fields.
And all mandated reporters.
Yeah.
We're all mandated reporters.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting when you see stuff like that. And it's like, oh, okay, that's how you see us. Like, you know, nurses were heroes 5 years ago.
Wasn't on that list.
Oh, I'm sure it was. Like, getting a teaching degree. Yeah. Because that's anything women are dominant in, that's the one they're going to just get rid of. Because
100%. 100%.
All right. So we've been talking for a while. We got to dive into this, but we'll move a little bit faster because we have talked about some things. So this episode is called We Used to Be Lovers. And we start in Las Vegas, which I love this. They leave us on a cliffhanger of Janelle and Cody meeting. And it's like, you think, okay, this is great. You know, Cody and Janelle. And then you're like, Vegas.
Yeah. Where'd Vegas come from?
Like, you're teasing me.
Yes.
But, so basically, Amber and Mary, they finally go to this golf event, this dating event. You know, it's a very strange setup, which I didn't quite understand. Like you go and you mingle and maybe check people out and then you answer a series of questions.
And then there's some kind of algorithm that coughs up a match.
People.
Yeah.
But that does not seem like a good system. I mean, it seemed very weird. And so basically what happened was that we see this later, but neither Mary nor Amber gets a match, which I think would be more disappointing than just
and
not
Mary kind of goes into it like, well, there's nobody here that interests me. Like, you don't know that. Go around and talk to people. What are you doing? And, you know, I was talking earlier with Amanda, like, I always operated when I was single, and I heard this advice from a good friend of always say yes to things. Yes to parties, yes to blind dates, yes to blah, blah, blah. If you want to meet somebody.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mary, just say yes, girl. Get out there and hobnob and go around, start selling your worthy up or something. I don't know.
Well, when she said, wait a minute, we have to mingle with people for an hour. I'm like, oh, Mary, if you don't want to mingle with people strangers for an hour, how are you going to date? Because that's essentially what a date is.
And how are you running a B&B if you don't want to mingle with strangers for an hour? And, you know, I have thoughts though, like, I liked Amber for Mary because she's single and she has like, you know, a little friend there to go out and do things. But Jen would have pushed her harder at this event. We needed Jen there too.
Yeah. No, it's true. They make a good tag team.
Yeah. Jen would have been like, get out there and talk to these people right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. Here's my question. Do you think you're married like I am? And you've been married a long time like I have too. Like, do you think flirting is wrong? Because I really would not care.
No. Timmy and I are both big flirts. It doesn't bother me.
I would not. If I saw my husband flirting with someone or I'm flirting with, like, you know, the thing is that it's the energy. You can flirt with someone and it's the energy you give off. Trust me. I've had married people, like guys that have been like, you know, we're flirting with this idea of like, do you cheat? Like that kind of thing. I've been down.
That's never happened to me, but I have heard of it.
So that's the thing is that, you know, you can cut that off. You can be like, okay, well, peace out now. Gotta go.
And I think I give off a certain energy. Like I'm not interested, but I understand what you're saying. Like I've met people who have energy of I'm interested and I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know. But then we have to talk to everyone about how they feel. Like this is the part that drives me nuts about the fact that they're not together. Like,
and Robin's like, I feel bad for anybody who dates today. Oh, it's so bad. You poor wicked women, just single losers. It's like, okay.
Yeah, basically. I was like, okay, well, thanks, Robin. Good times. Yeah. Yeah. And then they talked a little bit about, you know, Cody's flirting and it was Cody a flirt and all of that. And
Cody's a huge flirt.
Yeah.
I've seen him flirt with people. He is absolutely a flirt. Absolutely.
So I don't know why, but I guess Mary this time around is like, no, forget it. Forget it. But then this is exactly what you said. Mary says, well, I believe there's a perfect, no one's perfect, but there's a perfect person for me. They're out there. But it's like, that's great, Mary. I'm glad you got to that point. But you need to get to the second point, which is you've got to be out of your house to meet this person.
Yes.
You're not going to meet them in the B&B because no one checks in anymore. So
this is why if something happened with me and Timmy, I would never date again. Because I would just mourn him forever if he was dead in this scenario. Okay. Now, if he left me for somebody else, I would burn some houses down and be acting like an idiot.
Okay.
But if like he passed away or something, oh my God, I would just, stare at the sea and mourn him forever. But my problem is I could never leave my house. I just wouldn't want to leave my house. So I would never date again. That would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just watching my murder shows, get a dog. Yeah, that's it.
I think it depends on when it would happen to see how I feel.
Exactly. You've been married a long time. If it happened in like 10 or 15 years, you might just be like,
Oh, no. The older I get, the more I understand why women don't remarry. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I don't know if I would ever want to get married again or share my life or money or any of those kinds of things. But I think I would want someone to like go to the movies with and go to dinner with.
You can have somebody you go to like plays with and stuff, but don't step foot in my house and don't touch me.
I'll go to a play with you, but I'm not having sex with you ever. It's never happening.
Oh, God.
All right. So finally, we're in North Carolina.
Yes.
And Cody is anxiously awaiting for Janelle at La Montana. So Janelle, of course, is like, why now? Which I'm with you, Janelle. Why now? Curious, but, is this for real? And I will say that this is and I'm glad she has this attitude because this is a very male thing, which is, men will, they don't show up until they're kind of ready to show up in some ways. And, a lot of times men are trying to feed their egos more than women are aware of, feeding some part of that. And I think that that's the other part. And I understand her need to be like, well, what is this? Like, are you then wanting me to fluff you for, for our
Are you looking
meal?
for a massage?
Yes, exactly.
God.
And if you haven't read Christine's book,
Janelle must have done the massages, right?
I guess all of them, maybe. I don't know. We haven't heard. The three of them need to get together and compare notes. That's great. So, and then, Coyote Pass was so awkward. And, so they start by talking about the weather. It was really painful. I was watching it going, oh, this is so painful.
He's like, I didn't expect the humidity, so I have a jacket on. Like, whatever. Does the humidity explain your hair? Because what is happening?
Yeah. Well, it's also, and I was like, oh God, are they going to talk about the roots? Like I took route 125 and then I took this and then I took that. I mean, that's the next order of business. But no, we have to go back to Vegas again for, this. So they're neither golfers. This is the other thing too, is, okay, you're not golfers, but try. There are other women there trying that that don't play this game. So it's like, that's the other part of it is that, I think that it's going to take her some time. And, we hear the whole story. She knew Cody 2 months before they got engaged, 6 months total. And, by the time they were married, they did not know each other. They not know each other.
Do you feel like that was a little shade towards Christine? Even unintentional, just like, I'm not marrying somebody quickly.
Oh.
I don't know. I always attribute bad motives to Mary. She's probably perfectly sweet and just saying her own experience. And I'm like, oh, how dare she say that about Christine?
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. I think Mary, if it is, I think Mary's I think that the Christine thing is my perception. I think the Christine thing is double for Mary. I think it gives her a tremendous amount of hope, but it also, I think she feels very jealous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
And I would too. I would be in the that's exactly what I would think to some degree. So, all right. So they're not golfers. Let's go. She didn't find anyone. There's no match. Let's go. Okay.
Womp, womp.
So now we got to go to Salt Lake City because guess what? Christine's still on the show.
Yes.
And we have to find out what's going on with Christine. And so her and David are playing pickleball. Now, do you like David? We've talked about this many times. So what's your feeling about David at this moment in time?
We also go back and forth on David a lot.
Interesting.
David, I think David says the right things.
Mm-hmm.
I think David was a good father to his children. I think the proof is in his children being very close to him and all seeming to be, they get along.
Yeah.
I think he has the right kind of ideas about Truly. And we heard from Isabel last week that he's respectful of her relationship with Cody, blah, blah, blah. But David can be irritating as hell sometimes. He has a little Cody energy to him. And in this moment, when they're playing pickleball, I understood it because I come from a very competitive family and Timmy and I are very competitive. When we're playing games, it is like, I can slit your throat with a knife and it's in. Wow. Because we're playing games and it is intense and we trash talk and we do all the things. So that was fine. I felt like David's little bit of jokiness, time and place, right? But when you're going to North Carolina and you're meeting Maddie and she's so proud of running a marathon, you're like, let's run on the street right now. I bet you I can beat you. It's very Cody. It's very Cody. Like there was that to me. I was like, there's no reason that you should be racing Maddie, who's pregnant, to show that you could beat her. Like, and I know it was probably a joke, but he's somebody who I think knows it all. He knows it all. And that's what I get from him sometimes. But I do think overall, he's a very good fit for Christine. And he's good to the kids. And that's all that matters.
Well, I also want to say he is a white man in a world where the world favors you. And I do think, because I go through this I did with my own father, who was a tall white man of privilege and who really kind of there were some times that you're like, shut up. You don't know. You don't know me. You don't know the experience. You don't know. And so the other thing is David looks like my husband. So he doesn't have, his beard is not completely white, but he's bald with the beard. And so I'm instantly kind of like, I feel defensive of him. But yeah, I mean, I think what he said to her, they're playing pickleball. I mean, that whole thing of him keep knocking it out so she has to go get it. That's the shit that would piss me off. I'd be like,
that's hilarious to me in a game setting. But I feel, Tessa, he's like that in other way, like in other areas when it's not. Like, remember the jumping the fence and she was mad at him that he jumped the fence and she asked him not to because she didn't want the little kids to see him doing that, which makes total sense. And he did it he's got a little bit of a scorchy vibe to him. I would bet you that he is an older sibling.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
He's got an older sib scorchiness to him.
Interesting. See, this is part of my own neuroses and my own issues, which is my father was a trial attorney, civil litigator. And any man who's going to push back on me and say, like, I love a rebel. I love anybody that's going to push back. The first kind of conversation I had with my husband, and as I said something to him, I said, oh, have you ever seen Dave Matthews live? And he's like, no, but I'd rather see him dead. I mean,
that's the Timmy answer right there.
Yeah. And so my husband being this hardcore heavy metal, just played a show 2 nights ago. Of course, Dave Matthews is, to him. But I was a little bit like, some women would have been offended. I was like, oh. Got something. It was like,
but this is different.
This is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Timmy's got that little bit of a punk.
Yeah.
He considers himself a punk and he's very like, no government, no nothing. Like he's kind of super independent in his thinking, but this is like scorchy. Like I'm going to just annoy you. And I know everything and I have the answer for everything. Now, I do think their conversation about money a couple weeks ago, everybody was up in arms about that.
Yeah.
I think that was for the cameras because this is when she was getting ready to sue Cody for child support.
Oh, you think?
Like they have to keep that narrative up, I think. Yeah.
See, Brooke saw it as this is, their way of saying we're not going to be on the show much longer. Like,
well, I think that too. Yeah. I don't think this is going to be, I have always said, you want to hurt Cody the most, take away his show.
That's true. That's really, really true.
Yep.
Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit Jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
But I liked what he said to Christine, where she was saying, and I absolutely, she's like, I don't trust anything out of his mouth. Why should I? Can't. How our marriage was a lie. And now he's saying all this other stuff. I can't do that. And of course, we had these flashbacks. They had to flash back to knife in the kidney.
Knife in the kidney. Yep.
And David's like, well, people do change. And I was a little bit like, okay. Because people do, but they choose to. And Christine's like, well, what's the proof? What's the proof that he's changed? He was so mean. Why should I do this? I thought I wrote it down.
Were you confused because 3 weeks ago, Christine was sitting at dinner telling David what a good guy Cody was?
Yeah.
I was very confused. Now we have David trying to convince Christine that Cody's a good guy. So which is it, guys? Was this shot out of order or what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because I thought David was the things that David was saying to her, I liked. Maybe it's part of another conversation.
Well, David said to her, he's like, if you want your kids to have a good relationship with him, you need to model that for them.
And I thought that's probably late. Yes, this happens. Okay, we'll get to that. Sorry. Okay. It's okay. So now we're back. We're finally to the meat of the episode, which is we are back at La Montana. And Cody basically announces, I came here to apologize for being so bitter and angry when the family broke up. And, basically admits, I did love you. I'm so sorry I said I didn't love you. And Janelle says, I always felt like, you turned into someone I didn't know. I believed you loved me. I always knew that. I didn't quite understand what was going on. And then this I thought was interesting where she's talking about, you and I have always held the idea or the ideal of the family. And that's the other part of it too, is you really get the sense with this family, because every time I turn around, I'm always like, why did Mary stay? Why did Janelle stay? Why did Christine stay? None of this. But if you have this idealized version of this big family, and if that's a meaningful thing to you, then I can understand that. But I didn't realize the two of them were the ones that were for the family. Or you don't think that's true?
No, I think that's true. I think that was true up until the move to Flagstaff. Then I think it became very obvious that they were not one family.
Yes.
And I think it just took Janelle a while. I do think, like you said, his treatment of Garrison and Gabe during the pandemic is what pushed her to leave.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know. I think that in the beginning, I think what she's saying is a similar idea to, my grandmother telling me when I had my kids, make sure you put your marriage before your kids. And I know it's unconventional, but if you're good, your kids are good.
Yeah.
And that benefits them the most, even if it means splitting up and you're both happy, whatever. You just be happy and that will trickle down to your children. So I wonder if it's a little bit of that. And Janelle saying we put the family above us.
Yes.
And we fell away.
And I think, and one of them says we're both not very good communicators, which I think tells me we're both people that don't like to talk about our feelings.
Yeah.
We're both people that like to avoid talking about our feelings. And I'm sure, Robin, he makes him do it and he was willing to do it with her. Mary, he avoided. And Christine was so desperate for it, but he would just run in the opposite direction. So again, it's back to, I think, for both of them. And that's what happens in marriages. You can just get super lazy with things because you're just like, oh, you're laying there. We can have sex tomorrow. Forget you. Anything can, because they're going to be there. So I mean,
don't forget too, Janelle has told us, or was it Cody who told us? One of them told us that she and Cody had the intellectual connection.
Oh, that's right. I think it was Cody.
Like,
Cody.
What that look like?
Well, yeah. So he says, this is such Robin wording. He goes, I was angry and bitter from the attachment. Saying I didn't love you, I was angry because, basically I wrote this out for him, which is what he should have said. I was angry because I was hurt.
Yeah.
I said those things because I was hurt and I was angry and I felt ashamed.
But everything has to be an experience, and attachment and safe and, all the buzzwords.
God.
Yeah.
I mean, and attachment, like you're not even using that
talking
right.
about. No.
Yeah, you aren't using this attachment word right. But you know that Robin has said attachment. And I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago had a whole thing about how angry I am about how they abuse the word safe.
Yep. They
safe
weaponize
and
it.
Unsafe.
They ironically weaponize the word safe.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it really bugs me because it's really not, you're not being conscious of what it really means to be unsafe.
Right. What they are using it as, anyone who challenges Cody is not safe.
Anytime I feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. So there's a big difference between being uncomfortable because you've got someone who's touching you inappropriately, and then there's being uncomfortable because, oh, wow, I'm having to talk about my feelings, or I'm feeling vulnerable, or I've made a mistake, or I feel shamed. Like, that's very different because that's part of life. Like, that's part of it. This other stuff, no.
No, and
Like,
that's something that is something that a good therapist could have gotten in there and worked with them couple by couple. Cody, why do you feel unsafe? You feel unsafe with Christine because when you go over there, she wants to talk to you. So how do we bridge that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But they did that group therapy. And it was, and then they learned the word safe and our worlds ended as we knew it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Nancy gets a lot of slack. I don't, I mean, it's like I said, it's a hard job. And
listen, a therapist can only work with what you tell them. And God only knows what was going on in that room.
And here's the thing, it's on them. Like, you can't make someone not be a narcissist anymore. You can't make someone change. I mean, if they're not willing to be truthful and honest and do the work, then okay.
No, and you're not going to be vulnerable in a group setting.
Yeah.
Like, she should have did it couple by couple. That was so weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
And then this is where he said, title, we used to be lovers.
And he gets this look on his face where he's like, he's like, It's like, ugh, gross. Never need to hear that.
Well, then we get Janelle's at a interview saying, at first I was really wondering, like, where is this all going? You're laying it on really thick. Do you want this reconciliation? Because he seems to want to intensely connect with me emotionally, and why? And then we ask Robin and this director. So now she
Were you
feels
ready
unsafe.
to burn down your screen when you saw this part?
But I was just a little bit like, why are you making a big deal of this? What is your problem? So basically this director asks her, the questions that they're supposed to ask, which is, do you ever think there might be reconciliation? Do you ever wonder about that? And she's like, how would you feel if an ex-wife came back? And she's like, oh, I'm very surprised. And, then she gets very worked up and she can't do this anymore.
Was this not the most performative thing you've ever seen?
Wow. Yeah, opened a portal of hope. Oh, opened a portal. I mean, she's
hope. I can't even talk about it. It's like, okay, girl.
Okay, so and Janelle comes back, and is she going to move into this big mansion, this big compound? Where's her room?
You know what?
How is that?
If I were Janelle, I would call Robin's bluff, and I would be like, "I'm coming back. I'm going to move in the basement of your new house with all my kids." I'm coming back.
She should have. She really should have.
And Mary should do it too. And Christine should do it too. Oh, what I would pay to see it.
Yes.
I'd pay to see it.
No, Robin knows she can say this because she knows no one's going to come back.
Yeah.
So back to Parowan. And this is just a short scene. I didn't realize all this stuff was going on, but Jen's husband has cancer.
Yeah.
And apparently he's been going through, things have been intense this year, surgery, radiation, recovery of his leg. I'm not quite sure what kind of cancer he has.
Yeah.
So they want to do a fundraiser. which I think is really sweet.
This is a
so
very
smart.
sweet scene. It really is.
And the bike, she owns this bike shop. And so we're going to do a bike ride. And we told people they can rent bikes from your shop. So now you get that income plus what we raise. And then we're going to have a big breakfast here at the B&B. And Ron is coming for the fundraiser. Very excited. But yeah, I like Jen. I really do.
I like Jen a lot too. And this was like, this is the authenticity I need from Mary.
Yeah.
Like Mary was very real in this moment. Jen was very real. It was interesting. It was a compelling scene. We've come to really love Jen, who, by the way, is going to be at the tell-all, the one-on-one. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
She's next to Mary on the couch. I'm like, okay, everybody gets their +1, I guess. Okay. So yeah, I liked it though. It was a good scene. It was very sweet.
Yeah. And it's nice. And that's why it's like, I'm happy for Mary. Like, I'm happy. You know,
Mary's a good friend.
Yes.
She is.
She is a good friend. And unfortunately, friends have how, she needed all of their support because no one else was supporting her.
Nope.
So now we're back at North Carolina. So Cody then admits, I've been a bastard for the last 3 to 4 years because of the breakup.
Take that back a few more years, Cody, but okay.
Yes. Well, and then he brings up something that happened way, way back in the beginning of the relationship was when we first got married. I remember the affection we shared. Makes me question. But basically he says, I wish I would have seen the need for you and I to protect our special place. I'm like, oh, fuck, what does that mean?
Yeah, he keeps talking about like, I should have kept you safe.
Yes. If I understood that, it would have been a lot safer for you. I put you in harm's way and didn't step up to protect you.
So basically they're talking about Mary.
Yes. They're talking about that, but it's like, why do you have to talk in these riddles?
She knows exactly what he's talking about.
And Cody's like, well, again, this is a theme. We didn't know each other very well.
Yeah.
And we weren't good communicators.
Yeah.
And, but we started out with a sweetness, a tenderness. These are these words that are like, who are you?
I know.
And he said, my mistake, which I thought was good, was not being brave enough to basically stand up to Mary. And I know you didn't feel safe a lot. And that is kind of all it took for Mary. I mean, Janelle, she was pretty forgiving.
I was surprised. I expected very surface level, like, I'm sorry I said I didn't love you. Like, that's what I expected. I thought that would be the whole thing. I was stunned. This felt somewhat real. Now, again, I do not think any of this is genuine from Cody in terms of why he's doing it, what he's doing. But I think what he was talking about in those 2 to 3 minutes was real.
Yes. I think all of that is very much very real for him. So, and then we have to go through this whole story of Janelle telling us like things happened that first year. Mary and I are very different people. We would never be friends. The jealousy, the insecurity. And then this is where Cody says, like, I have this experience of going off to the mountain to log. I'm like, what the, and you were sobbing and asking me if I loved you. And I didn't realize that you didn't feel safe. And I failed that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Like he actually got specific about a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Because at the time, I guess she was pregnant with Logan. He was always on the road. Mary they were not getting along. It was not good at all. And that's the other part about this. It's just, God, I mean, between Christine's book and hearing about this, all of this sounds awful. Like, I really am. I'm having such a hard time. I'm like, yeah, it's great that you have this big family, but is this really worth all this?
Like I look back on, my early years in my marriage, and it's so hard when you don't have money and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're not even sure that's happening. And it's so stressful. I could not imagine adding another woman onto it and another baby. You know what I mean? Like all these kids start coming too. And then, a year later they had Christine, like the pressure. But don't forget, like that's how a lot of polygamous families live in this country. Yeah. They live in poverty or under the poverty line and they don't have access to a lot of the social programs. So it's a very, very hard life.
And this is why, they do want to make it illegal. It's because, and it isn't, there's a whole reason why women were protected 50%. Like there's a whole reason why that's so important. And you see it very clearly in this situation where, everyone needs to be protected. The children too.
You mean they want to make it legal? You said illegal. They want to make it legal.
Yeah, they want to make it legal.
Yeah, yes. To decriminalize it so that people come out of the shadows. Yeah.
And also, right, and like how do we protect, I'm not advocating bigamy, but it's like, how do we protect the second wife, the third wife, the fourth? Like, how do we protect everybody in this? Yeah. Like maybe there needs to be certain laws or rules for, if you want to be in a polygamous family, this is what has to happen. Yeah. This is the expectation that you have to maintain. Yeah. I don't know. Yep. So, but yeah, they then Janelle talks about how she lost her identity. She was the one to keep the peace, and she just sort of closed down to survive those early days. And I think that this is, Janelle hasn't really been truly living for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And let's see. Okay. And then she says, yeah, we do still care for each other. Okay. Back to Salt Lake City. So this is where Christine starts to talk. Cody wants to extend an olive branch. I don't trust him. He's going to be mean. So she's scared already. He's going to be putting me down and making me feel like I'm less than.
He has been mean to her for so long.
Yes.
Think about it. Think about the tell-alls where he has said he wasn't attracted to her. What he wrote in that book about her with the nachos. He has been mean to her for a long time.
And see, this is why I like David, because what David said was exactly what he needed to say. He wasn't placating her. He wasn't like anything. He was like, no, look at everything that you've done in the last 3 or 4 years and look at where you are now. You are stronger. Basically he's saying you are stronger than you're giving yourself credit for. And then he said, you and I will be there together. And,
Yeah. What I think I love so much about their relationship and why I think it's good for her is he sees her for who she wants to be seen as.
Yes.
And I really like that for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how much I think he knows how much she needs those words, and he gives them to her. I think Cody also knew she needed those words, but would weaponize them or kind of use 100%. them. And all that. And I think David recognizes in this moment in time, I need to pump her up. I need to make her feel good. I need to, and I think, I think when you have a partner or spouse where if they do not support your dreams or your stuff, it's very, very hard, and that's the other part. When you get married, you don't know that. My husband and I, we knew each other for a couple of years before we got married and we lived together and all that, but it was a bit of a whirlwind. And how was I to know this man was going to support my dreams? Yeah. But then you get into it and you're like, oh, good, you are. Okay.
Yeah. And if you're 22 or 23, you don't even know what your dreams are.
Yes. Yes. Or that you would need your spouse to support them, because if they don't, it makes it very hard.
100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this then, we talked about this earlier, David's always pushing me to, have a better relationship with Cody for my kids. And David's like, listen, you have to model what that is. He's, and he's absolutely right. You need to show them how to have a good relationship with him. And so they basically
because it's always on the woman to show the kids. I know what David's saying, and he's right. But it's just frustrating that always has to be on the mother.
What I would say to her, if she was like my therapy client, I would just say, what are you willing to do? Like, what are you willing to do? And are you going to be okay with the fact that maybe it's not, you shouldn't have to do this, or you don't want to do this, but is it important enough for you to do this?
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I have to say, it isn't about her. It's about the kids.
I agree. And I realized I sound hypocritical because earlier I was saying Janelle should do more and she, whatever. But it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating that Cody just can't be better. And one of the big things that's so frustrating about Cody is how we know that he knows what to do. Like even with the words of affirmation, think about how often he has told us that Robin is pretty.
Yes.
1 million times. So he knows how to do it.
Yes.
He just won't.
Yeah.
And that is so frustrating.
It is. It is. And the fact that he doesn't really get it, or he's not willing to, not willing to get it. That's why the apology to Janelle, you're right, is so significant, because he wasn't just talking about the last couple of years.
Yeah.
He's really talking about yes.
I don't think he'll do that with the other two, but we'll see.
Yes.
I think it'll be very surface level, especially with Christine.
So then we get, he says that he's not going to be in the dancing mosh pit. David, that's fine. And then we get a flashback of Christine telling everyone.
Yeah.
And, all of that, knife in the kidneys, one of the great lines. And David admits, listen, I'm not jealous. I'm not insecure. I want Cody to have a good relationship with your kids. And he's right. If you don't do this now, they're not going to, what he was saying about Cody is, if you don't start working on this now, they're not going to be there for you down the road.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, you are not obligated. Children are not obligated to take care of their parents.
Mm-hmm,
but when you have a good relationship with your parents, even if you had a stressful relationship, if you come back around and own your stuff and all that kind of stuff, you need that. And as someone who has buried her father and mother is on the way out, like, you need us.
Yes.
You really do. You really, really need your kids
100%.
to help you. And if we weren't here, and so it's not just about that part of it. It's like, you need someone who really loves you and cares about you and wants the best for you.
Yeah.
And so think about who's going to be making those decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So Christine does say if Cody becomes angry or aggressive, David might become unglued.
Again, I would pay to see a fight.
Yeah,
between
I would
Cody
too.
and David. Pay to see it.
Okay, back to North Carolina. Cody's like, do you feel like our breakup was inevitable? And I think so. I mean, I think I think all of the first 3 marriages were inevitably going to break up, just like because he never nurtured them. He did not invest time and energy in them the way he has with Robin. So it is inevitable.
I was thinking about this because I think about this family constantly. Cody didn't bring in another wife. Cody brought in a mistress.
Yes.
Because he had to hide how he felt about her. He had to lie about how he felt about her. He shorted the other women for time with her. So it was a different dynamic than when you bring in another wife, I think.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. And, they also waited way too long. I mean, we could, debate that.
Yeah.
But I think the breakup was inevitable because Cody fell in love with somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. So she said she was really ready to move on. They've had ups and downs. And then we get another great flashback.
Oh, I love
the flashbacks in this episode were good.
Yes.
Of the infamous Janelle and Cody fight.
I love this fight so much.
I saw new things in this fight because you know what I saw at the end? I was concentrating last time on the words, but it's realizing like how Cody becomes a 4-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Not gonna do it.
No. Slamming the door and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And I love how Janelle from her power seat doesn't even move.
Yeah,
she's like trying to grab at him, but she like won't get up.
She's not going to stand up at all.
No.
She's just like, reaching back. Fuck you.
Yep.
But yeah, that was a good fight. That was a really good fight. So let's see. Right. She doesn't want to reconcile. She doesn't need the financial support anymore. Her kids are older. She didn't need to see, she doesn't need to try to work this out. And, and I think this is one of the pieces about, family and relationships that it does make me sad because the reality is that it is really hard for 2 people to get together and then be on the same page for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
There is that piece. And people, right, when your kids are little, it is hard to break up. It is really rough. It does change the dynamic.
There's no way any of these women could have left this relationship when those kids were little. No way. Where's Janelle going to go with 6 kids?
Or without the show. The show gave them them more money. And that coupled with the fact that the kids were grown.
And going back to your point that you made earlier about Janelle with the money, none of these people have financial literacy. None of them.
No.
And I know that because I suspect they grew up with no money like I did. And I had 0 financial literacy. Like you just don't have it if you don't have money growing up.
Well, I will say my family, we had lots of resources, but we were given nothing. Like not money, but we were given no financial help. So every single time something would happen, my parents would be like, okay, how much do you need? And then would just give it to us. Or, you know, I always knew I had them.
Yeah.
And so that was the other part of it too, is even though I had resources. And so I never thought I needed to worry about money. I never thought I needed to, I never even thought about investing, like making my money work for me.
Yeah.
But because the reality
I understand
is,
what you're saying.
like my father, he worked, he made tons of money and spent tons of money.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with. And so I think it's hard for anybody who, if your parent doesn't sit you down.
See, Timmy's parents are interesting. They're an outlier because they were very poor when they got married. They lived in subsidized housing, but his father worked hard and accumulated something, not a ton. And they made very smart, good decisions. And they passed that down to their children. Not the money, the decision making and the relationship with money. Do you know what I mean? Like Timmy's excellent with money.
Oh,
and I'm terrible.
Bring him over to my house.
I'm terrible. When I met him, I think my credit score was like 400. So, you know, I mean, it can be done.
Yes, it can be.
I don't think these guys knew how to smartly use the money that they were getting because they had never had it. Like, I think they paid outright for all their kids' colleges, which probably wasn't smart. They should have done some student loans and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But hey, whatever. I'm glad they valued education and they should have sent those kids to school, but I think they paid outright for it, which is wild because I feel like they blew through a lot of the money they got. And we know the moving, really poor decisions with all that.
Well, just think about what it took for them to get in the 4 houses, and then you're in the 4 houses, and then you pack up and leave
and
again.
They had the balloon payments and the bad interest rates, and it's tough to be good with money if you've never had it.
Yes.
You just don't
no one's ever shared anything with you about how it all works.
No.
So yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
Right.
Bad. If no one teaches you, no one teaches you.
Yep.
And that's the big argument about school. Like, why aren't we teaching this in high school? Why aren't we doing this?
I know.
And you know, again, we can go down a road, but yeah, I've had to learn everything myself. And I'm still like, okay, what's the difference between a Roth IRA and an IRA? And I'm talking, we have a financial advisor and I'm like, okay, what's that again? I'm so out of it. I'm like, but okay, I trust you.
You're learning a little bit so that your kid, like it's generational, right? Like your kid will know a little bit more because you can help him a little bit more than your parents helped you.
Yeah. I will say, I haven't done that. My son just turned 18 on Monday, and I have not done a great job because what I realized was that he has all this. He's like $8,000 in savings right now. Yeah. And
well, that's the difference between your kid and mine. My kids are just blowing through money on vapes and nail stuff. So,
but the problem is that he always wants us to pay for everything. I'm like, you have like $8,000. You have $8,000. And he's like, well, you probably have more money than me. And I'm like, but guess what? I have a mortgage. I've got this. I've got that. You want this and that. We got the holidays. I said, I do not have $8,000 where I get to spend it just on anything that I want to spend it on.
Could you imagine just being able to spend $8,000 on whatever you wanted? I feel like
so we haven't. He's doing what we did, and then when we had to move our mother out of her house, we found all these letters from our parents. Somehow they got them back of our father asking his parents for money. Yeah, I'm like, this is generational. Yes, like
my parents relied on my one grandmother, my father's mother, had a decent job. And she was the one who, helped with groceries, bought Christmas presents, bought our school clothes every year. I remember. Yeah. Yeah. Thank God for parents,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Cody, then what do you feel about this? Because Cody says to Janelle, you have the high honor of being the first one I came to because I felt safest to extend an olive branch to you. Now, Janelle's very grateful, but she basically said there's nothing there. Wish he had a better relationship with her kids. But, what did you think about that? Like, why did you need to tell Janelle that? And why do you need to tell? Because the other women are going to see this.
Right. Yeah.
And what you are saying to us, Cody, is I went to Janelle first. Mm-hmm. And again, if I was his therapist, I would tell him to go to Janelle first, but I wouldn't tell him to tell him why. I don't say why.
But that's Cody, right? He always says the quiet part out loud because he's an idiot.
Yeah.
And Janelle should feel insulted. I would. Oh, you came to me because I'm easy? Yeah. Because you know that I'll be nice?
Yeah. you'll know I'll be easy, but also, and then now you're saying these other women who are difficult, like, or women who stand up for themselves or aren't silent, they're pains in the ass, because that's what our society says about women. So when we have actual opinions, then we get into Garrison qualifies for a military headstone. I thought this was really nice. And the two of them talking about going up there. And I assume that means Wyoming, because that's where he's buried.
I'm assuming.
And Janelle does admit that it's been very healing to hear all these things. And I can imagine it would be. I can imagine, because there is nothing better, it kind of doesn't matter, what you did in the past. If you can come back to that person and apologize and validate, that will do wonders. And people think they can't change past things. It's like, well, you can make it easier for them moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can take ownership of it.
Absolutely. And you could tell Janelle is over this, because she's easily like, okay, we were kids. It was a thing. But where she needs to really is with the kids.
Yeah.
So let's hope she did that and we just didn't see it.
Well, let's hope when they go up to Garrison's, thing. And Cody says, oh yeah, just the two of us. And I'm like, good, Cody, don't invite Robin.
I guarantee you that won't happen.
Oh, really? Because I think that would be very good for them.
It would be.
The two of them.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, but Robin doesn't know Gary.
Do you think Robin's going to let this happen though?
I don't think so.
Cody, don't forget, Special Forces. Cody's very different when he's out of the sphere of influence. Once he's back in that sphere, forget it.
Yes. Yes. So, and so he says that Janelle made it easy for him to do this apology. I've needed this for 4 years. So this is and I don't know if I got the words perfectly, but there was something about this that bothered me, which is I've needed this for 4 years versus I've needed to do this. I've needed to own this. I've needed to admit this. I've needed to apologize for this.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's still about you. So now your conscience is clear. The audience sees that you're a good, quote unquote, good guy. And
it's not falling for it, but yeah.
Yeah. And you just bebop along. And that's what bothered me. It was like, no. And it's like, I need this. It's just always about him.
Yeah. And the fact that it was on camera, again, as a fan, I love it. Love that for us.
Yes.
But the fact that it was on camera tells us everything we need to know. Like it should have happened off camera.
Yeah.
But
that's why Cody's actually a good reality star, because he's all over the place. He has no awareness, at all. He keeps putting his foot in his mouth and he can never seem to and he's got a big ego. So he can never get out of his own way. Ever.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk through all of this Sister Wives stuff. So tell us what is happening on both of your podcasts these days.
So on Murder, She Watched, we are doing The Staircase. And we're finishing.
Every time I see you, you're doing The Staircase.
We're finishing it up now. We're doing the scripted dramas.
Okay, got it. And how do you like it? That was really good. Toni Collette.
It was good.
Okay,
but they were super generous to Michael with the casting with Colin Firth. Come on.
Like better looking or kind of a nicer guy.
Yes, but they did sort of, I'm not going to get into it because we're short on time, but there's a whole thing about how the documentarians did not appreciate this version. And the scripted people had access to all of the unseen footage in the documentary. So now you're like, okay, they're painting Michael as just giant assholes. Is that how he really was? Like, you know what I mean? You're questioning things. But we are embarking on the Murdoch journey.
Oh, interesting.
So we are heading there, yes. And so we're doing that. We're also doing Unsolved Mysteries over there, mostly on Patreon. But on the free feed, we're doing Rocky Mountain Mortician. Did you see this?
No, that sounds good. I like this.
It's wild.
Is it like an ID show?
Yeah. It's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 3 episodes. It's really good. And then on Little Miss Recap, we're doing Special Forces season 1. We're going back to that.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. I like that show. I think I might watch it the next season.
And we're going to do Traitors. We're going to do Traitors.
Oh, good. Yeah. That is a fun show too. Yeah. The first season of Traitors. So if you are a Survivor fan, the first year of Traitors is amazing because they have this woman, Cherie. If you're not a Survivor fan, you don't know who she is, but she is
I used to watch it.
She's a beloved, she's a beloved one. She's played a million times. She's never won, but she's so good. Okay. And the first season, what they did is they took like celebrities or reality stars and regular people and put them together to play this game. And Cherie just ran over all these people.
Oh.
Like they didn't know what was coming for them. She like ruled this shit.
Okay.
So it is really impressive to see, I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to cover it. And we do 90 Day and Reality Roundup and stuff like that. Oh, you know what we're doing? Surviving Mormonism.
Oh.
With Heather Gay. Did you see that? The 3-episode
Oh, is she doing that? So this is based on her book?
No, she's like interviewing people. It's sort of like Leah Remini did with Scientology. She's interviewing people who've left the church and stuff like that. It's interesting. It's really interesting. And my co-host for that is Ashley, and she is a therapist who works in Salt Lake City, and she's left the church herself. So she lends a lot of, she has a lot of insight into what's going on. And so it's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, that's such an insular community too. Yeah. If you watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, you realize there's so much that we don't quite understand or know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Well, if you want more from us, you go please check out our Patreon or subscribe to the show. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Those are really important. Follow us on social media, all that good stuff. But then thank you so much, Amy. And I will see you next time.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Hi, this is Hannah Berner from Giggly Squad. Have you ever put on a bra that makes you feel like a goddess? Prepare to be obsessed with the Dream Angels Wicked Bra from Victoria's Secret, the iconic brand behind the world's most comfortable bras. And I only wear the most comfortable bras. The bestseller features an innovative sling for perfect lift without padding, and the fit is chef's kiss. Awaken your inner goddess with new colors and super femme lace embroidery. Find out why this bra has thousands of 5-star reviews and counting. Shop it in stores and online at victoriassecret.com.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.